Okay, so I guess we're going to go ahead and see if everything's going good. Please let me know in the chat, somebody, if my audio is working, because this is the first shot at some new software. I'm using some open source stuff, and hopefully it works out fine. But I'll just go ahead and get started here tonight. First off, thanks to everybody who's joining me, especially I can see some people already here. Wonky, yeah. Let's see if we can help at all, do anything. Crazy row. All right. Yeah, audio issues. Awesome. So I can tell that there's audio issues. I'll try to speak louder. Again, this is all new stuff. Maybe that'll help just a little bit. And I'm not really sure. I'll have to try to get it fixed for next time for sure, because it's not, again, this is just all new stuff for me. But tonight I wanted to go ahead and just say, hey, thanks to everybody who's come here and checking out the show. And I want to just go through, talk a little bit about the auctions that have come up and that we're working on. Things are going pretty well for that. And there are those 2 auctions. I did pin those, and if anybody happened to miss that. And yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I don't really know what else I can do for this broadcast. It's unlegible. Great. Well, you say, yeah, sorry, trying to work it out. So I can't, let me try something else here. Maybe it'll let me change the audio to some different desktop audio. And you can let me know if you can hear anything else. So if not, we'll have to come back and try this again maybe some other time if I can get a better microphone set up. We'll try to get these headphones because I thought it would be working. And yeah, it's on. It's on all the way up. So let's just see. It says I've got. Sorry, everybody. So anyway, volume troubleshoot. Now, it's supposed to have, let's try that. Man. Yeah, this is kind of what I wanted to try and see if I could get this tested beforehand, but there's not really a way to test for the volume. I knew that was going to be the one thing that was going to be troublesome. Let me try to switch up, and maybe I can pull out this other microphone right here, and we'll see if it works any better. I'm not promising that it will.
Maybe I can do this by hand. Is that any better? All right, let's try this. How about this one? Can you guys hear me with this this big fat microphone? So obviously it was that that headset thing. Great, good. All right, so sorry if you come in. I'll try to scrub that, and maybe we can get it. I'll get this thing strung up to something later, and that way, at least I know now it'll work better for next time, and I know what to do. So great. I'm glad that I was able to get that figured out, and we can get to going. Again, thanks everybody for showing up. I see a lot of people here already, and thanks. This is the first live show. I'd like to make this a more continuous thing. And just so you know, the 2 monitors that are on the auction are right behind me on this side over here. You can see I've actually got the bottom one here streaming the draft, and then the top one's set up with RGB. So again, if you want to check out those auctions, I'm sure everybody who's here has already. So I appreciate everybody for supporting that, and just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the market. I didn't know what anybody else thought there. I was doing some looking today for other PVMs for sale on the internet, and it's kind of a mess right now. Still, most people are buying from the only shop, and that's not a surprise, but there's just not a lot of options out there. So keep looking if you're looking for something for sale. I know the ones that I've got right now aren't the highest end, but we'll try to keep going on there. I know you guys see Adam in there. He's the one who actually found the last load of PVMs, so he deserves a big shout out for doing that and calling around and actually finding a TV studio a couple hours from here that had them and was trying to get rid of them. And after this, there should be Gary. There should be a tag. I put a tag in the or card actually in this video for the auctions, and I'll try to see. I'll try to see what I can do for that. But I don't know if anybody else has bought a PVM recently anywhere. But if you have, let me know how it goes. And if you find somebody that's selling them that's doing a good job, I always want to make sure that those people who do a good job get credit too. But I got some other crazy announcements going on. I see somebody talking about a 2950, and you guys know that I have the 2950 here in the shop. But so one of the big announcements I have is that monitor is actually going to be leaving here soon, and that's going to be in May. I haven't exactly scheduled it out, but it's going to be a retro road trip, really. I've got a relationship with the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and I have in the past sold them PVMs. I sold them 3 medical style PVMs, and then I sold them 4 2030s after that. And then this year I got the 2950. So I've been talking to them in negotiations with them for almost 2 months. And last Friday they finally said they wanted it for sure. So it's going to be at the museum. They're buying it. They're going to have it forever. And they're going to have it for some art installations coming up in July. So if you're actually in Philadelphia area or happen to be going near the art museum at all for some reason in the next 4 or 5 months, that exhibit will still be there. I do have a bunch of pictures from the event that this artist named Bruce Nauman did with the other medical monitors. And while I do a video upcoming about the 2950, I'll show some of those from that trip and from that exhibit, because it was kind of weird. I mean, if you Google this guy, Bruce Nauman, he did a lot of funky stuff with these monitors back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s as art exhibits. But that's kind of it as far as that. As far as the future of the channel, look for that. That's what's going to be coming after this auction ends, right after it. I'm trying to schedule that trip. And Kenny, I do streams now too. This is my first time. Thanks for showing up. I hope you feel better. I saw where you were under the weather, and thanks for finally working on the salesman video. I was going to tell you, I have no idea about that anime VHS tape that I found at Goodwill. It was $3. It's something about elves. You're welcome to have it if you think it'll be something you'd even like. If not, I don't care. I mean, I can just throw it in my stack of VHS tapes, but you're welcome to have it if it's something that you want or like. But anyway, I'll go to the chat now. There is one thing coming up. I have the channel is almost 1 year old. That's coming up at the end of May. So I would really like to do some kind of contest. I'll think of something, but that'll come later. Yes, Those Who Hunt Elves. That's right. That's what it was. It was on VHS, a white VHS tape in the middle of Goodwill. So anyway, thanks for everybody for showing up again. If you guys have any kind of questions, throw it out to me, and I'll talk about it. I've got, coming after these 2 auctions, I've got another 1351. I figured it wasn't worth much money. I just grab it because I just never see that stuff in the. Thanks, Josh, new subscriber. But yeah, Kenny, I just grab it because I kind of grab everything that's horror, anime, and then I'm getting in these older black and white stuff. So yeah, it's not an art contest. It's actually the artists actually use it as the medium. So this guy Bruce Nauman, he actually was doing an event called Clown Torture, and it's super wacky. I mean, it is a loop Basically, he will set up the monitors in an empty room with a couple neon lights, and then it's in a white room, and the monitor will be in the middle of the room, and on the monitor it'll be playing an old VHS like 15-second clip of somebody dressed as a clown like screaming. And it's like an adult screaming, and then all of a sudden it stops and replays. It's just like a continuous loop back and forth. And they wanted it. That's what they call some crazy. It's some crazy art. I mean, it's out there. It's like Andy Warhol stuff. That kind of era and vibe to it. So, yeah, no kidding, right? It'd been nice if we got CRTs everywhere. There's one show I saw on Netflix that had CRTs all over the place recently. I didn't watch all of it. I think it's called Maniac, but there was a lot of PVMs in that show. It was kind of like if the world was more retro. Oh yeah, no, that's a cool, yeah. Okay, I see what you mean, Ian. Sorry. Yeah, I thought you were asking about the actual art exhibit that was coming. So, but yeah, that's a good idea. I also want to know if I've got. I wanted to do the stream for next week when the video or monitors actually get finally done on the auction. There. I was going to do an auction for smaller items that I've come across. Probably some like Nintendo games and PlayStation games. I was going to throw a poll out there, so if you guys later want to vote on it. But I've got a lot of Xbox One games, Xbox 360 games, PlayStation 2 games. They're all pretty good games that are a little bit tougher to find. And I'd like to do 15 games a night. I'm talking like real low prices, just basically starting at what I've got in them. And just try to get some stuff out of my shop. So I don't know if there's anything in particular people are looking for right now. And is this all right? Yeah. So if you have any ideas on whether you rather have PlayStation 1 games, Nintendo, regular Nintendo, or Xbox or PlayStation 2. Those four choices, you can leave me a comment and let me know. I'll probably put a poll up later in the week just to keep an eye out. All right, so I'm starting to get some questions here that I'll go through. Someone has an 8045Q. When he turns it on, he only gets an RGB line on the screen. Sorry, I have to go back, so I have to go back up to this. He says, I only get a RGB line on the screen. Is there any suggestions where I start diagnosing where to fix any of it? What do you mean RGB? Francis, do you have, are you only getting something like on the RGB line, or is it just you're getting just like red, green, and blue lines and nothing else on your screen when you turn it on? And then we've got someone else here with troubleshooting a 1953 MD that powers on and the green tally light comes on and no image or sound. So I've got a 2030 that kind of does something like that where the tube doesn't come on, and it's got something to do with the voltage. It's not actually coming in right. But see, the green tally light is on. It usually means that you're getting good power when the green tally light's on. I've seen the orange tally light come on sometimes, and it can mean nothing, but it also can mean something. It can mean as little as like the grounding's not perfect inside or around the monitor if it's red, but that's not what we're asking. You're asking about if it doesn't come on. It could be something as simple as something becoming disconnected, and first thing to do is obviously take it apart while it's powered off and see if you notice anything, whether you notice anything disconnected or not looking right if you haven't already done that. Sometimes then after that it's always good to disassemble the monitor if you still can't get anything and pull those main boards out and try to get a good look at them. Sometimes look for a cold solder joint or something that might be their swollen cap or one of your heat sinks, one of your ICs on your heat sink could pop or something, and those unfortunately just have to be like manually looked at. There's not a whole lot of testing you can do, and you just have to kind of start troubleshooting it from there. Ones that don't power on at all can be very tricky and very tough. You could have a problem with your flyback. But all right, we got some people whose birthdays. Wow, happy birthday, Josh. That's awesome. Okay. And David. David C., man, you're the man. I still love that background you made for me on my SD to SNES. Still awesome. So happy birthday to you, my friend. Thanks for long-time support. So, I mean, again, with the orange tally light, it looks like Pity Patty had the same thing. If the orange tally light comes on and you're not getting any power or you're having any power issues, the orange tally light usually comes on because of the power supply. It usually means there's something going on in the power supply. Again, it can be something as little as whatever you have the PVM, like your actual outlet in your house or the outlet in your surge protector, may not be properly grounded. The cable, you may want to try a different standard cable out the back of your PVM first, but just something as little as grounding being off or just not the exact amount of power can cause the light to turn orange or red. So that's not entirely a bad thing. The bad thing is when you start getting screen problems, like if you leave it running and it shuts itself off, or you make an adjustment and it shuts itself off. That means that there's something going on in the power supply, and the power supply generally needs to be rebuilt. Now, don't get like, I know that, see, sometimes you can't even if you rebuild a power supply, you may not get rid of the orange or red light. I mean, I've seen it happen in a lot of them. And if the orange light comes on and you don't have any issues, then it's nothing to worry about. But if you do have any kind of power issues, it means your power supply is going to eventually need to be rebuilt. Or, good news is you can usually get those power supplies rebuilt on eBay for the M series for about $100 or less. So they do show up from time to time. So again, if you see that orange tally light, just remember to see if you have any power problems. If you do, then you do. That's kind of weird that you have a power problem and the green light still comes on. That generally means maybe something's wrong on the main board, not probably the power supply, since the power supply is showing that. But it still could be the sour power supply. It's just hard to tell. All right, Ian, you got a 2950 last year. Tried getting it repaired. The screen worked briefly for a time. Let's go back to the top and see here. Calibration commission. I recently got to 20 and interesting. Get it done. All right, Mune. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here, and so I'm going to try to get everybody's questions. Oh my goodness. And I do calibrations and recaps and stuff, mostly for Patreons right now, just because I don't have a whole lot of time. This isn't my only business right now. Hey, Chuck. And sometimes Ian's asking about good for parts. If you have a 2950 and it's not, you can't get it fixed, you need to keep that. That one's getting very rare and hard to find. And I would, even if it's not working right now, it's worth holding on to because it's very rare, and somebody, might be able to get it fixed for you. All right. Well, if you don't hear the DeGauss fire, Pity Patty, you should go in there and see if your DeGauss cable, there's actually a power cable to the DeGauss button directly. That might have become disconnected. It's just like two lines and it goes straight into the power supply. You can look in the manual and it'll show you a breakout in the middle of the manual. Go to the CRT spec list. If you Google CRT spec list, get your manual. It'll show you where that connection is. Check to make sure that connection is good. Or you can even test it, with continuity or something. And that might be the problem. That might fix all your issues is if you plug it in, it might just be that might be the only problem. And I'm going to try to keep going, guys. All right, so Pity Patty, yeah, you've probably got something disconnected if the panel lights are not coming on too. All right, Kenny, let's see. I've decided to do a video on VCR basics. Do you want to get a minute in there to say something? Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing anything about VCRs, I want to do more about other types of mediums, and VCR is one of them. and I'll be glad to say anything. And I actually had some fun with that other VCR that you guys saw a video of. It ate a tape finally for me because I moved it around after not taking the tape out, and the machine just caught it and ate it up. And it was kind of made me mad because it was the cartoon Spawn movie, which is kind of tough to find on tape. But yeah, I'd love to help you if you have anything about VHS tapes that you want to ask. Now, Chuck, I see that you got a D24 that flashes bright red when it's turned on. Overlight flashes. Sometimes happen once, sometimes happens with the SDI inputs. It probably is a cap issue. It probably is the caps in the power board. If you have not had it done already, look, you've got to. Here's something I did want to clear up. I'm glad you brought this up. People, when I did the video about the bad eBay seller, a lot of people try to throw Save on Pat in on with him because they're both from the same town. But he is not have anything to do with it. I can confirm you that. He did not have anything like personally, like he's not friends with the guy. He tried to give him some advice on how to like do things the right way, and he kind of got blown off. So I just wanted to clear that up with everybody. Because if you need to get BVM work done, he's still the best that there is if you have no knowledge yourself. I was talking to another person named Phil Exile, if you've seen him on anywhere. He does all kinds of works on BVMs, and I'm gonna try to go talk to him some more in person or something. But he was telling me about all these strange firmware updates that Sony never put in the manual. They were updates to manuals. So if you weren't actually an employee of Sony, you wouldn't have any idea about these changes to the settings on the BVMs. It's like they're firmware updates for certain BVMs to correct little issues. So that can be a problem. And then when people buy used ones, they don't know how many like firmware updates have been done already by whoever owned them or serviced them in the previous life. Yeah, 2950s are amazing. Again, people love talking about them. I know that, and they're some of the best. I mean, they're some really good stuff. All right, guys, I've caught all the way back up on the chat. So if I missed your question, please type it again. I'm sorry, type it again if you don't mind. But it's definitely a great monitor, the 2950. I don't know how many of you guys saw Brandon's post on, I think his name's Tweed, last name, but he's on the Facebook group, and he's got two 2950s now in his setup, one regular and then one Tate, all for his personal setup. And man, it's like the sweetest looking thing I've seen in a long time, to be honest. And no, Kenny, I have not done that yet about the liquid cleaner. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that with the Ikegami. It's starting to get nice finally outside here, so I can do some stuff that's not going to be, it's been cold here some. So if I can't really do weird things like that might, have temperature reactions on the components, but I will try some kind of liquid cleaner on the boards for the Ikegami monitors because they're from 1987 and they're filthy. And I'm going to have to replace every component probably in them anyway that's replaceable. So we'll try that cleaner on there. I saw some people putting like circuit boards to Commodores in their dishwashers and stuff, so I'm sure it's probably fine. I saw a video of another YouTuber named Adrian Black. He was washing a Commodore PET in his sink with just tap water, the boards for it, so it's probably fine. All right, so Sergio, you're planning on doing a recap of his 14M2. Should I recap the power supply unit too? Thanks for the input. Sergio, man, I'm glad you brought that up. That's something I really wanted to get to. Yes, I'm starting to think that that's probably a good idea too. Now, I've not done it on this PVM. The smaller PVMs, I usually do replace the power supply caps, but I've not done it normally. But now I'm thinking that it needs to become something that's like part of the thing probably, because if you're going to go ahead and take it apart and you're going to get the power supply doesn't have as many caps in it. It's probably got, I don't know, 10, 12, maybe 15 in it. But you could replace them. Now the big ones might not need to be replaced because they're really big. And also those would be the ones that you'd need to discharge. I get oftenly asked about discharging capacitors. I'd risk discharging those capacitors before I'd change them if you're worried about that. Oh, so this the CRT is asking how I'm feeding into the news. I mean, it's pretty complicated. I've actually got an antenna in my shop that's a HD receiving antenna over here in the corner, and it goes all the way to an old school SD converter box, and then I convert those HD channels to SD, and then they're coming out of that thing on composite into the monitor, and that's all it is. It's just straight streamed TV, and there's actually a setting in there where I can put it on 4:3 mode, coming out of that little SD converter box. So that's a good thing to do with SD converter boxes. They still have a use if you want to throw some TV into your old BVM or PVM. Another thing you can do is use Rokus if you're not already doing that. They do have some Rokus that still did put out composite right out of them. Roku 1, I have one of those. The internet is kind of slow on it because it doesn't use the same fast technology, but it does straight put out, it puts out straight composite video, and you can switch that over to 4:3 mode too. It's really nice. All right, guys, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. And again, coming up on a year, I'll come up with a contest for something for that. And yeah, I don't know about that either. The PS3, I don't know what they're going to do about the PS3 now with the new PS5. I feel like, it's kind of weird. I feel like PlayStation's they're always the one that's smarter and actually does things with the like retro community, while Xbox just sits around, and I feel like they're sitting on like a gold mine of good stuff that they could do, and they're just, I don't know, they're just too lazy to do it, or they don't do it. I've never seen an aftermarket battery for those PVMs. I've never seen like the regular batteries for them. Honestly, I've just never had anybody bring one in. They usually don't have the batteries in them. But if you look at, I think I tagged in that description of the video for the 845 or 842Q auction, I tagged a ad for the PVM, and it has all the accessories in that ad that came with the PVM. So, guys, if you have any more questions, let me know. I might just call it a night after that if that's not it. Let me see. Will you be making any videos on calibrating the JVC monitor? Yeah, actually, I do plan on doing that too. So what just happened was I was getting ready to work on the JVC monitors, and then Adam came with the load of PVMs from the news station, so I wanted to get them ready and get the auctions going. But once I get rid of my 2950, the only good thing is it's going to clear up a lot of space. And when I do that, I want to do some maintenance and repair to the JVC little one, because I did get a lot of those cards for it, the input cards. I need to do videos on that. Again, full video, and then also how to take it apart, service it, calibrate it, and also want to do the same thing on the big guy right behind my head, back there. That's JVC D series. That's a 36-inch CRT, 750 TV line component input, standard definition, consumer grade television. Man, I told Kenny that one's going to the museum, man. That's the only reason I'm getting rid of it. They're the only ones I was going to get rid of it too. And they wanted it really bad, trust me. I won't go into it really, but oh man, yeah, if you had to ship a 2950, it would be pricey. And I don't know how, yeah, let me talk to some people on that, because that one would pretty much need to be put on a pallet. No, I'm not donating it to the museum. I know that sounds very chivalrous of me, but I'm not donating it to them. They're actually giving me some money for it. They actually buy the stuff from me because they're a little bit of a different style at that museum. They got a lot of money behind them. They're going to be using it again for weird art exhibits. I don't know what they're going to use the 2950 for, because that's the biggest one they've ever had. The cool thing and one of the reasons I want to do a video from the museum is they have a guy there that's kind of like Save on Pat that I met a couple times, and he's been working in the AV field for the art museum for like 40 years. So hopefully I can get there and pick his brain about some things because I'd ask him questions about PVMs that I had no way of knowing, and he'd know them right off the top of his head. OJ asked if I ever been shocked. Yes, I've been shocked, but never by the anode cap. Oh man, that's like I talked to a guy who got shocked by running his hand over a discharged tube, like the little anode place where it's metal. After it had been discharged and then he rubbed his hand over it with his wedding ring on, which is something I try to do now that I didn't do before. Is always take it off. Is that stupid? But I've been shocked by just like the small voltage, grounding out inside the PVM while it's on, and I'm trying to adjust a potentiometer or do things like adjust convergence or screen brightness in the back of there on either the back of the neck board or on the back of the flyback or the back. I'm always hitting something and grounding out, but it's not the high voltage stuff. I've never been shocked by that, thank goodness. I try to do, everything I can. It is dangerous, but you still have to do some of these things while the CRT is running. There's some things you just can't do while it's powered off. Yeah, that's cool that they use the PVMs at game exhibits. I want to try to get the art exhibit to. Awesome, Ian. Yeah, so like that's cool. That's what I'm trying to get them to see if at this art exhibit, or at this art museum, if they're ever going to do anything like retro gaming. Yeah, Steve, you messaged me. Do I plan on doing a tube swap in the future? Yeah, that's a tough one. Now the good thing is you got a 14-incher, which is not as difficult as a 20-inch one. I did do the one tube swap video, but it was a Panasonic. I don't know. If you got a chance to watch that? I don't know if that helped at all. It would be kind of the same thing as that was a Panasonic monitor, and I used a tube that wasn't compatible, so it didn't even work. I had to re-swap and put them back. So I don't know. Like what I've got coming is I don't actually have any tubes. I don't have any tubes that need swapping. Maybe on the Ikegami, because the Ikegami has one very bad tube, and then one of them's just straight up burnt in. So whichever one of the two chassis is better. That's one I really do want to work. I really do want to work on that Ikegami and like as soon as possible that one and the JVC. But the Ikegami would be fun because I've got the two monitors, so I can Frankenstein parts for it if I need to, and it'll work hopefully. So hopefully that'll come and help you. Just know tube swaps are very tedious. But it really is just nothing more than taking something all the way apart and then putting it back together. I do have some tips for you, like if you're going to try to move those neck parts around, make sure that it's already like caulked and set on those convergence rings, and you can pull those rings off at once, but kind of make some tick marks on there, and then make some tick marks on your tube, and try to judge, and then you can just go place it in the same exact spot on your next tube, the new tube, if you can find another one, or I think you already have another one. So, but once you change that tube, your picture is going to be amazing. That's going to be perfect. Once you get a good new tube in there, that's like having a brand new monitor. A D24 for $2,000 or more. Well, that's not surprising. It's the guy that like I had been talking to people behind the scenes about that seller on eBay, the One Shop, and he's apparently got a warehouse, a storage unit full of D32s. And he wants to wait till he's out of all his other monitors and just start selling those for $10,000 a piece. What got me into PVMs? Well, honestly, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I finally got back into retro gaming, and it was N64s to begin with because that was one of the consoles that I last left on really playing when I was in high school. It came out, and so I got back into that, and then it just looked so terrible It looks so terrible on flat screens. The N64 looks the worst on modern displays by itself, especially because the best thing you can do is get composite and S video out of it. So I kept trying to make the picture look better on that, and then I found out about scan lines, and I really wanted to get into that. Just like looked at the scan lines. So I bought my first PVM, which was the NASA PVM, and if you'd seen it in a couple videos, it's actually another patron's got it now in Nashville. His name's Justin, and he's got it. But yeah, that was my first one. I bought it off eBay just from a guy who was a salvage seller for like $200 shipped, and got lucky. He shipped it right, and it was an awesome PVM because NASA had it as a backup monitor, and they barely put any use on it, none. Yeah, I got an inch 64 with that mod. Now I actually want to try the new. I don't have the new Tim Worthington. I think has a board, and a couple other guys boardy have some boards that you can get rid of that anti-alias. So I haven't tried that yet. I did do the a long time ago. I did the Ultra HDMI kit in a N64, but honestly, after I started getting into PVMs and these kind of displays, I just didn't even care about HDMI stuff for retro games anymore. I just stuck with these monitors once I found them, and then you asked about how I got into PVMs. That was how I got into them. Was I just kind of found out about it on Retro RGB, but after I got them, I noticed that they were never in like the right condition. I'd find one every couple of months, and it was never in like perfect shape. So I knew that there was nobody doing anything online really to fix it and like document it. So that's kind of why I started this whole channel to begin with, was because people knew that I did some work. I had given some people advice, and I keep getting the same questions over and over and over and over again. So that's why I decided to just make some videos about it. Yeah, Stretch, Star Fox, and Smash looks terrible. That's the two, and those are like Smash Brothers and Star Fox, and then what's the Mario Kart, are just such great games. I didn't know you could overclock them. That's cool. That's that would help because there are some weird games. Get the E10 board for that. Yeah, I probably will because it's the only one I haven't tried. I've done the other smaller RGB insert mods, but they're not really that special except for they unlock the video capability. Hey, Annabelle, how's it going? All right. So make sure I didn't miss anybody on anything. Any interest in PC CRTs? Yeah, that's something else I too want to get into too. I mean, there's so much stuff that I want to do. It's just have time and just keep it going. I'm trying to do. I try to do like 2 videos a week, and it's just a scheduling thing. If I can get it done, then I do it, and I'll just keep working through as many CRTs as I can get to. Right now, that's kind of why I got to move the CRTs. I got to get them in and then try to get them out. I want to make sure that people who actually want these things get good ones that'll last them a long time, that are in good shape, and I just want them to be reused and not just end up in a dump. So yeah, we're getting some. Yeah, well, when you're using a D24, anything looks kind of funky. Well, I mean, I don't mean anything. I mean like those N64 looks kind of funky on those BVMs with the bigger scan lines. I feel like. Yeah, I mean, it's funny how some stuff just still, even in 2019, there's not stuff documented on YouTube. Oh gosh, the Sony PC CRTs have software-based calibration too. Oh yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah. So I mean, the good thing is Sony did keep a lot of their calibrations pretty standard. Once you get used to one, it's easy to use on a lot of their things. Another thing is I just want to I'm keeping an eye out for BVMs. They never come available where I live, never. And so that's why I don't ever work on them. I mostly just get medical stuff. All right, so somebody, J&F Tech, got a PVM, and oh yeah, Picked up my first RGB cable. Good, man. Have fun. Dude, that 20M4U is a great monitor. It's got a higher line count, 800 lines. Color impurity in one corner. Degaussing doesn't fix it. Yeah, it's a magnetism issue. And man, that sometimes can be a real pain. It's probably not gonna be a convergent strip that can fix it. You probably need like a little circular magnet that you'll see on some of them, real tiny, round, and try to put it in the corner behind where you have the problem on the tube and fasten it there. And you have to just let it sit there. Sometimes it can take like 2 or 3 days for color purity to change from magnetism. So you literally have to let it sit there and just see after a couple of days if it makes a change or not. Sometimes you can add more magnets or a stronger magnet back there and see an effect right away. But that's most likely what's the issue is because there's some kind of magnetism not getting correct in that corner. Yeah, 600, anything over 600 TV lines is not good for VHS tapes. And sometimes even 600 TV lines, it's hard to watch some older VHS tapes because you get some real weird shimmering effects sometimes. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, there's like a sweet spot for sure. Kenny's got that right for VHS tapes where it's almost got to be like, I don't know, like the 450 TV line monitor behind me seems to do a really great job with VHS. It doesn't really get very blurry on there. I haven't seen any new convergence strips come up lately, and I did see somebody make some for a little while, but I need to find, there's got to be somebody that can figure out what the little magnets that we can put on the back, because all it is just plastic strips with some magnets taped on them, and then some double-sided tape at the end. The problem, see, I have a lot of great ambitious ideas like cap kits and these other small things, but it's something that I just have to, for me personally to do. It just takes some time to get the time to make them, and then try to offer them to people. Yeah, see, I know you can use stuff to make your own, John's right, to make your own convergence strips. Because they're not, I mean, even the ones you buy now are all homemade. Definitely, I've been noticing a lot, even in my neighborhood too. I don't know, I mean, it almost seems like it'd be worth it to go to a dump or somewhere that does have CRTs that doesn't recycle them and, strip them for parts. Strip them for convergence strips and rubber stoppers, and scrappers come all the time and rip the yokes out of them and the circuit boards because there's like so much salvage value in those yokes. Those yokes are loaded with good copper. Oh yeah, OJ, if you've got some magnets, definitely send me a link to that, please, because I'd like to see the magnets. I've been trying to find good secondary source of magnets. It's hard. Yeah, I'd be cool with fan art. I like the kind of '80s fan art, of course, man. Like anything that's I don't know. I like that retro wave, synth wave kind of art thing where you got the funky old school look, like you're actually playing a VHS tape. That's a really cool looking art. And then like the Miami Vice style. That's like, I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of that stuff coming up on social media, and it seems really cool. There's actually a guy that after I get done with this deal with the museum, I want to get him to design a professional retro tech logo using his '80s style because he really does a good job professionally, and I wanted to see what he come up with. It's not very much money, so I'd definitely like to do it. How do you identify the number of lines a monitor produces? Well, the easiest way to do that is to just go to Google, type in CRT spec list, and it will pull up a spec list link that is on Reddit, and you go there, and it's got documented listings of nearly every monitor that's a professional monitor and what the approximate line count is. And that information generally comes straight from the manual. That's just where it all comes from. Yeah, retro stuff's coming way back in style. I went to Walmart the other day and they had DVD cases for new videos that were looking like they were in VHS tapes or Blu-rays. They looked like they were in VHS tape casings. So they're definitely trying to market it and make money off of us, I mean, 30 to 40-year-old people, 20-year-old people that are into this older stuff. Yeah, there is a manual way. You got to have good vision. I do have good vision, but I've never tried to sit there and manually count the lines because you can. I think you can count. I think that's what you're supposed to be able to do is to use that thing and count a section of them and then multiply it, and it should tell you. You multiply it, and that's how many lines are actually on the TV. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I would cover the pallet shipping. That's what I want to talk to some other guy who's done a lot of this stuff. He shipped PVMs overseas, full on, not even just PVMs, like XM29s. So those are large monitors too. And he always has talked about pallet shipping and basically putting it some semi in a box and then strapping it to the pallet. And it never has any problems with larger ones as long as your pallet's safe. Yeah, the bidding is still going on in those. Look, this video is not the closeout video for the monitors. I was just really doing tonight as kind of a first show, a test run to make sure that like with the earlier, if you were here at the beginning, you saw the headphones I was trying to use didn't work at all. The audio was terrible. So thankfully I've got that figured out and we'll be ready for next week. Um, yeah, it was shipped overseas. Yeah, I can't imagine what, depending on where it went, what you had to go through customs and stuff. I don't, I don't know. I feel like sometimes too, there's weird laws that would make, moving this stuff, like even legitimately selling it, people could throw up red flags saying we're trying to move industrial waste or illegal waste if they really wanted to give us trouble, customs official. So, yeah, it's not a great process. Japan does seem to still have a ton of CRTs. Hong Kong, I've seen a lot of people in Hong Kong still have some. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, John, you had a whole cabinet shipped? Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my goodness, man. Sorry, I'm just reading some comments. Bob, I didn't hear Bob's story. I actually follow his stuff pretty closely. At RG Retro RGB, yeah. So yeah, if you don't follow their exact packing like procedure, see, the only reason I pack my own PVMs is because I do a better job than they do, and they admit that. But I have to go in and like when I pack a large monitor, I have to leave the tops opened of the boxes, and they have to still inspect the package. And this is at a legitimate FedEx. It's not like a mom and pop's shipping location. This is a full-on regular FedEx, Kinko's corporate location that I go to, and they say, we'll absolutely insure it and let you pack it, but they have to inspect the inside and make sure that I packed it right. And I always pack it better than they do. But if I let them pack it, they would pack it half-heartedly, and even their best effort would probably not make it. So yeah, that's one thing I hate to see is anytime PVM gets destroyed in the mail because it's just something that most likely could have been avoided, and that you can't get them back. They're destroyed if that happens. All right, guys. Yeah, PVM was meant, and oh goodness, yeah. But I mean, I know it stinks. At least you get some parts out of it. Yeah, there's a lot of. I'm wondering what I mean. Like I've seen a lot of people putting CRTs out on the street. They're not usually good ones though. They're not the Sony Trinitrons as much anymore. People are really going around and gobbling up the standard def Trinitrons that they see, even for like 15 to 20 bucks. It's a good deal really now. Yeah, Pity Patty. I do have some other forms of social media that are on the main channel. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with Facebook stuff. I mean, Facebook has my messenger accounts where it won't show me messages for days. And then it has like 4 accounts for me, and it decides which one to show me, which one not to show me. But I am on Facebook. The one I most work on is Instagram. I'm not on Twitter yet, so but I am on there, and I'm on Reddit too. I do go on the Reddit, CRT Reddit, and post there sometimes. Probably the one I work the most on is Instagram, so either there or Facebook. And also, you can contact me directly through. There's a Facebook page for RetroTech, but you can also contact me directly through email if you have something that you want to talk about. That's the easier way to get a hold of me. Yeah, it would be pretty intense shipping a whole candy cabinet. My goodness. I mean, when I bought my cabinet, it's the full-on 4 slot. I just had to drive it like 15 miles, and it about made me lose my mind, and it fit in my Jeep. Um, yeah, trying to get rid of a 32, man. That's the bad thing is once you get a really big Trinitron or big tube TV, that's my thing. Is like, how in the world am I ever going to get rid of that? A 30, that's what I'm thinking about this one. Bob from Retro RGB, I talked to him about possibly taking this thing off me eventually because, again, I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. I mean, it's out here in my shop, and I do use it. It works fine. It's fun TV, but at the same time, Limburger asked if there's a way to fix a PVM with a burned-in screen image. I don't know, man. I don't think there is. Now, I do know I have talked to some people who've had success recharging and using a CRT, rejuvenator on a Trinitron and getting it to burn brighter and the colors to look better. But I don't think that would actually get rid of that screen burn. That stuff's actually burnt into there. I'm hoping that maybe we can start. There's got to be some way to figure out a database to figure out if there's tubes that were consumer grade. See, what I'm wondering is if they're consumer grade Trinitrons, and like, for example, if you have a 20-inch PVM, if you can get a 20-inch CRT that's the high end that Sony made for the consumer at that time, if that will be compatible in any way, even if it was a modification to make it compatible with a PVM chassis, because that's really I don't have a subreddit or Discord, and I need to start doing that other stuff. I mean, the channel's really growing, so that's a good thing. But it's there are some things I still have to catch up on, and that's a Reddit and a Discord would probably be a good idea. Yeah, if let's see here. Sorry, I'm just going to catch up on some comments here, guys. Okay. I don't know. I don't think a rejuvenator does fix burn-in. That's why I'd like to see what it actually does. Yeah, I'll try to Discord, get something going where you can have some chat, because that's actually a pretty good medium still. Yeah, it's always great to find a good. Probably the best consumer grade TV I've got is a Toshiba, and it's a 32-inch from like 2003, and it's still got the curved screen and 4x3 format, and it was like top of the line at the time, and it's just an amazing CRT tube. It's never had to be calibrated. Just gets dusty behind it, but it's in my bedroom and it's been there forever, and I'm like, I don't ever want to get rid of that one either. And I mean, if you can't find a high-end PVM that you've got your heart set on, normal Trinitrons are very good, especially if you just want to do retro video games. I think people really should know that there's not a huge difference between RGB picture quality and if you get component picture quality in a CRT. Like if you convert the RGB over to component and use some little converter device that doesn't have any lag, it looks great. It looks just as good as if you RGB modded it, at least from what I've seen and done. Sony's copyright did run out, and there are others. There's a Mitsubishi Diamond Tube. Mitsubishi made them. I can't remember who else did, but their technology finally, the patents did run out on it finally, and people were allowed to start making them. Until then, they had to pay huge licensing fees to even make a similar style to them. Yeah, Toshiba's are really good if you find one. Yeah, yeah. Okay, guys. Look, I really appreciate everybody sitting with me tonight. It's been almost an hour, surprisingly, but I'm going to kind of wrap it up there. Um, Again, I will have something else coming out this week before the auction, but I'll have that auction, and I'll also remember have the poll up for what games I should do on the pre-show. Thanks again, everybody, for for stopping in. And Kenny, absolutely, man, you're on my list. Whenever I do make it up there, I'll make it up there soon. So thanks again, everybody, for contributing, and have a great night, have a great weekend, and I will be doing more pity patty. Yeah, I want to do more. I want to do more like this. I'd rather do this than do the. It's a lot of work to do the other Q&A questions not live. I'd rather do it like this and talk and try to make it sensible. So, night, everybody. Have a great evening and a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.